Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be taking a look at the ImmersionRC PowerPlay. This is a device primarily designed to be used in conjunction with FatShark goggles, but will work with other goggles as long as the AV in jack is the same size and the video and audio etc. is in the same order. And its function is to power up your goggles while also acting as a screen, perhaps for the people around you to watch your flying. But what interested me the most is that it's also a DVR which records in a higher resolution and frame rate than the DVRs found in most goggles. So for PAL, it records 720 by 576 with a bit rate of 9 megabit and a frame rate of 50 FPS. And for NTSC sources, it records at 720 by 480 with a bit rate of 8 megabit and a frame rate of 60 FPS. Now the specs on ImmersionRC's website says that the data rate for PAL is much higher, but I'm just going off the files that it created from my testing. Now, when I review a camera, VTX, or a bind and fly model, the built-in DVR recording on the FatShark goggles is not the same quality as what I'm seeing through the goggles when I look through them myself, and I'd like to be able to show that much better. But for everyone else, DVRs were initially added to goggles in case you crashed, and you could look back at the footage to get an idea of where your model might be. But since then, technology has advanced and models have gotten smaller, so there's a demand for higher quality DVRs as a substitute for an onboard HD camera. There's been a problem achieving that though, because analog is an old technology and everything in goggles up until now has been repurposed from other products. And seeing as most DVRs are expecting a digital signal these days, they drop a load of frames when trying to record static that we get from our analog signal when it breaks up. In fact, even the built-in DVR on the FatShark goggles drops a few frames when it records static, but it's the best that's been available, which is why you usually see the same menu and DVR put in most goggles. So when I saw that the PowerPlay was using the H.264 codec, I expected even worse results because so far any DVR using H.264 has dropped too many frames for it to be usable when making flight videos. That's not the case with the PowerPlay. They have somehow sorted it out. In fact, it didn't drop a single frame when recording in both PAL or NTSC because I put a GoPro on my KISS Alien and recorded with the PowerPlay and FatShark's DVR at the same time, and the PowerPlay's recording matches the GoPro footage frame for frame, even when I put the model in some extreme static situations, and the FatShark's built-in DVR went slightly out of sync. Now, the built-in DVR going slightly out of sync might not be so important to you, but as a content creator, I always have to speed up the DVR from the goggles in post-production to match any HD recording if I'm switching between the two when reviewing something like a hybrid camera. The thing that's significant for you is that it records in a higher quality and a higher frame rate. So the big question is, why didn't they put the PowerPlay DVR in the HDO2s? Now, I know ImmersionRC is a separate company to FatShark, but they work out of the same building and put the PowerPlay's DVR into the FatShark Scout goggles. So what's the catch? Well, I found a problem. This is some footage from a PAL source, and you might be able to see that the image is wobbling up and down. What's weird is that the on-screen display from the model is staying in the same place. Now, at first, I thought it could be the camera or the rapid-fire module causing it, but it's not. I've tried it with the IonWays, which have their own built-in receivers, and a few different models I have with PAL cameras, and they all did the same thing. So when I went looking on YouTube for some Scout DVR footage, they have the same issue as well. So for me, this is a bit of a deal breaker because once you're in the air, you can't notice it so much, but it does make your model look like it's not tuned very well, and it's also not what I'm seeing through the goggles. What's weird is that it doesn't do it with an NTSC source. The problem is that most of the cameras I have are PAL, so I really had to dig deep to find working models with NTSC NTSC cameras to test. So if the wobble doesn't bother you, or you mostly use NTSC cameras, then this product might interest you until you see the price. Now, it may have changed after this review has come out, so I'll put a link in the video description if you want to see how much it costs, but the problems don't stop there. The unit only accepts 18500 batteries, which are the same size batteries that everybody complained about when FrSky released the X-Lite because they are difficult to get hold of. Now, the PowerPlay comes with some 1400 mAh 18500 batteries, which charge through the USB-C port. So what's the problem? Well, from a full charge after 2 flights, the battery level on the PowerPlay was showing 53%. And ImmersionRC acknowledged this as a problem because it says on their website that they recommend switching them for 2040 mAh 18500 batteries. But even then, you are still going to be getting short run times, especially if you're using the rapid fire module, which drains the juice pretty quick with the standard Fat Shark batteries. They say that they could only ship the PowerPlays with 1400 mAh 18500 batteries because of shipping regulations, but why didn't they ship them with no batteries at all and sell them for a cheaper price? Anyways, since then, ImmersionRC have released the CAD files for an 18650 battery case, which has been modified and remixed on Thingiverse for you to 3D print. The thing is though, unless they can fix this PAL issue, I don't think I'm going to be bothering with it. Plus, you have to desolder the battery connectors, and even though the DVR quality is better than the built-in goggles DVR, it's still not showing what I'm seeing through the goggles. And I did a quick test with the DJI analog DVR and there is no wobble. However, I still need to fly with them to make sure that it doesn't drop a load of frames. So I can only really think of one reason to get the PowerPlay, and that is for finding a lost model. You see, the built-in DVR on the HDO2s only records around 25 frames per second. So if you've had a really fast crash like I did with the special edition of the Diatone 369, I had to go home and load up the DVR on a computer to look at it frame by frame. So with 50 or 60 frames per second, you have over double the number of frames recorded, which will give you a better chance at locating your model. But other than that, as much as I love ImmersionRC's Tramp VTX and their rapid fire module, the PowerPlay feels like an unfinished product. I mean, it doesn't even have a manual at the making of this video, and that's a lot of money to ask for something that isn't finished. There's a bit of firmware on the website, but I wasn't confident enough to try it because you can't download the original firmware if there's a problem. So perhaps I'll go and try that and report back if it fixes the PAL issue in a different video if there's enough interest for it. Anyways, I'll quickly run through how it operates because it's very simple. You need to put a micro SD card in it. I'm using a 64GB SanDisk Extreme Pro. You're given 2 AV leads. One is really long if you want to put it in your pocket, which is what I did because it makes the goggles much lighter. But you're also given a shorter cable and a bracket for the PowerPlay to clip onto the side of your goggles. They also give you this Fat Shark fan adapter and top strap. You get given some spare foam as well. You have to plug the power connector and AV in on the PowerPlay, and the same goes for your goggles. The DC jack is a different size than the goggles, so the lead will only plug in one way around, which I found annoying because now I'm using the HDO2s, I don't need the fan connector. So if I could have flipped the cable around, then it wouldn't leave the fan connector dangling about. But if you are an older Fat Shark goggle user, then the fan connector is there. A short press of the green button on the top will show you the battery level, and a long press will turn it on. A short press of the rocker button will start and stop the video recording. Then a short press of the power button will send you into the menu where you can play back the recorded videos. You can do the usual fast forward and rewind up to 8 times the speed and pause using the rocker dial, but I couldn't find a way to delete any of the files. You can also set the DVR to auto record when when it turns on, but I've left it as manual. You can format the SD card from here as well. Then a short press again of the power button will tab over to another menu where you can change the date and time of the file name, which I know is a feature a lot of people ask for. The thing beeps every time you press the button, so I've turned that off. Then you can reset all of the parameters and check the firmware version. So I'll upload this video in a higher resolution on YouTube, and then I've painstakingly synced the PowerPlay DVR to the Fat Shark DVR by speeding up and slowing down the Fat Shark's footage using both PAL and NTSC cameras, so you can check out the quality difference. The NTSC camera is actually a CCD camera, and I think it really shows how far CMOS cameras have come. The PowerPlay does record audio, but I've knocked the mic off my Alien in a crash, so the audio is coming from the GoPro. Anyways, as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.